But anyway, the moon's in Scorpio right now, and it was conjunct with my Mercury, which is what made me feel compelled to not only talk about this. Essentially, I wanted to talk about in general Mars opposition Pluto. So on a mundane level, that will constitute as there being more like actual attacks. Mars has to do with soldier or battle wounds or instant acute kind of injuries, and Pluto would have to do with death. So on a mundane level and on a kind of a fatalistic Neoplatonic kind of medieval level, that would constitute as people likely getting shot and dying of shootings in general, because again Pluto has to do with death, and it's also another octave of Mars, so it's like Mars opposing Mars. So if you would ever see something like that in a chart, like of an actual country or something like that, and you see in transit like Mars opposing Mars or whatever, like for example, I think during the election cycle for the United States, that we had like the United States Mars opposing Trump's Mars. You notice that the entire country was opposing Trump, or at least the narrative of the country itself, which would be associated with Pluto and Capricorn. So that would be the media, as well as the influential kind of political figures and famous kind of whatever stars and influential figures. There we go. So with Pluto opposition Mars, that would have to do with deaths specifically. So some sort of opposition or defensiveness and that would constitute death. And with it still being in Cancer, it could be, deaths of children, or in rural areas, or like areas of the home, and or like suburbs or places where there typically wouldn't be violence, and it would be some sort of nurturing or welcoming kind of emotionally protective environment where there will be the deaths that will occur due to sudden violence. Also, to interject while I was doing this editing here, and also just to kind of explain how it seems abrupt in the beginning, the rest of this video is kind of a drama llama with Jewel Mayberry's responses and talking crap about me on her Facebook. So if you want to watch all of that, it'll be a separate vlog. This is just going to be about Mars and Pluto opposition. But because Neptune's retrograde right now, Mars essentially being with wounds or some sort of injury, and Mars and Cancer actually having to do with injury towards children, and being opposition with Pluto, even though there's not some sort of specific aspect between Neptune, Pluto, and Mars right now, because Neptune's retrograde, it could be the unveiling or finding the bodies of potential missing children that are in like recovery kind of status instead of rescue. Or it could also be like I said, I'm not saying just cold case files, but just in general, the wounded bodies of children in areas all over the place. So it could be mothers as well, but I would say more children than anything. So there's that. And Eris is actually squaring to Mercury as of right now, and it's at 23 degrees. So as the next couple days transpire, going into that sucks. Actually going into around the 4th of July, as a matter of fact. Let's animate this just for the hell of it, since I'm talking about this. Days. Okay, well the good news is that it's not even within orb of squaring Eris until Thursday. Great. Okay, so Saturday, the 8th of July, Eris will be squaring Mars. And Vulcan will be conjunct with Mars as well. So, luckily for anybody who may be going to like some huge event throughout the weekend, following the 4th of July, be wary, because not only will we continue to have this opposition between Pluto and Mars, but we're going to have Eris squaring Mars, just the rebel, and it's still within orb of conjunction to Uranus, and particularly for the area in which I'm from, so the west coast of the United States, we're gonna have Eris and Uranus and Pallas in the 5th house. So that's the 5th house of self. So that would be some sort of self martyr or self eccentric abnormal rebel that would be causing some sort of injury upon others that would cause death to the 2nd house. So this could be constituted as it wouldn't be transportation. Well, it could be actually, because Mercury's still there. Neptune related stuff. I don't know, to be continued, I guess. Maybe I'll need to talk about this a little bit later. But yeah, so that's the gist of that. I know this turned into more of a blabber thing of that, but again, I felt the need to quote-unquote defend myself more than anything. And also, it's not even, and I could say yes, that's part of my ego thing also, because yes, I do like to I like to defend against when people are bullshitting or whatever. I don't mind if somebody actually calls me out on something I've legitimately done, because I'm totally cool with facing up to something I may have done. But I can't stand when people try to use me as a scapegoat to hide their own lies. Don't use me as your scapegoat because you can't deal with your own bullshit. If you want to call me out on things or whatever like that, that's fine. But don't you dare use me as an excuse for why you're behaving the way that you do, and to basically, deflect the bullshit that you're pulling by fabricating shit that I haven't even done. At least if you called me out on something that I've actually done, which, I mean, I pretty much called myself out on things I've actually done already, then that's fine. But if you're going to make up shit, then I'm going to go out of my way to make sure that I clear the air about you making up shit.